The storm rages like the anger of forgotten gods, waves towering like mountains, ready to swallow anything in their path. Lightning cracks across a sky the color of bruises, and in the heart of that fury, a small ship fights for its life, wood groaning and splintering under the assault. Amid the chaos, a little girl, no more than 6, clings desperately to a wooden chest bobbing in the violent sea. Her small hands slip on the wet surface, her cries lost in the thunder's roar. The ocean claims the ship, but somehow, mercifully, it spares her. She washes ashore on a paradise that feels almost too perfect to be real. Golden sands kissed by turquoise waves, palm trees swaying like gentle guardians, and a jungle alive with secrets. Alone, terrified, but not entirely. Curious eyes peer from the undergrowth. Who is this child? What cruel twist of fate tore her from her family? And what hidden truth does that drifting lullaby carry on the wind? A melody that will haunt her for years to come. Years pass in the blink of an island sunrise. The girl has become Ro, a young woman whose spirit seems woven from the very fabric of this wild place. Her hair flows like liquid sunlight, catching every breeze. Her movements fluid and free as she navigates the lush terrain with an ease that makes you envy the simplicity of it all. She doesn't walk through the jungle. She dances with it. Vines become her swing, fruits her feast, and the animals? They are her family, her truest companions in this isolated Eden. There's Sigi, the thoughtful red panda, perched with quiet dignity, his eyes reflecting a wisdom far beyond his fluffy exterior. He watches over her like a patient mentor, offering nudges of advice when the world grows confusing. Azul, the magnificent peacock, struts with theatrical flair, his iridescent feathers flashing dramatically whenever he feels the need to command attention or lighten a heavy mood with his over-the-top antics. And Taika, the adorable baby elephant, full of boundless energy and affection, her trunk wrapping around Ro in hugs that squeeze away any doubt or fear. You watch Ro singing to the sunrise, her voice pure and soaring, and something stirs inside you, the longing for that kind of unfiltered connection with the world around us. Here on my island, she belts out, the melody wrapping around the trees and sea like a warm embrace. In this moment, paradise feels complete. No crowns, no courts, no expectations beyond being exactly who she is. Yet as the camera lingers on her face during those quiet pauses between songs, you catch it. That fleeting shadow in her eyes when she gazes at the endless horizon. A whisper of something missing. The lullaby returns in fragments, pulling at threads of memory she can't quite unravel. Who sang it to her first? Why does it feel like home even as this island has become her everything? These small, unspoken questions build a quiet tension, making you lean forward, wondering what storm from her past might one day wash ashore again. The animals sense it too. Sigi's gaze grows more thoughtful. Azul preens a bit less boastfully, and Taika sticks closer than usual. Their bond isn't just cute sidekick material. It's the emotional core that makes Ro's world feel alive and deeply human, even in its fantasy. They communicate without words sometimes. A look, a gesture, a shared song that says more than dialogue ever could. It's the kind of friendship that reminds you how lonely the human world can get when we forget how to listen to those who don't speak our language. But paradise has its limits. Isolation, no matter how vibrant, starts to press against the soul like the tide against the shore. Relentless, inevitable. Ro doesn't voice it yet, but you feel her growing curiosity like a gathering wave. Then, fate arrives with billowing sails on the horizon. A grand ship from the kingdom of Apollonia cuts through the morning mist, carrying Prince Antonio, a handsome, adventurous soul seeking new lands and perhaps a break from the heavy crown waiting back home. His vessel hits trouble near the reefs, sharp rocks tearing at the hull, chaos erupting on deck. Antonio, ever the brave explorer, tries to steady his crew, but the sea has other plans. Crocodiles circle in the shallows, their eyes cold and hungry, turning a shipwreck into a deadly trap. Most men would freeze. Not Ro. From her vantage on the beach, she sees it all and springs into action without a second thought. With a commanding call that blends seamlessly with the wild, she rallies her friends. Sagi coordinates with clever precision. Azul creates dazzling distractions with his feathers, and Taika uses her strength to clear paths. Ro dives fearlessly into the fray, her island-honed skills turning what could be tragedy into a breathtaking rescue. She pulls Antonio from the jaws of danger, their eyes locking in that first electric moment. His gratitude mixes with awe. This isn't some damsel or courtly lady. This is a force of nature wrapped in grace and kindness. For Ro, it's the first glimpse of the world beyond her shores, embodied in a man whose smile carries both charm and genuine curiosity. The spark is immediate, undeniable, the kind that makes your heart beat a little faster because you know stories like this rarely begin without consequence. He invites her, implores her really to return with him to Apollonia. There, he promises, they might uncover the secrets of her past, the origins hidden in that weathered chest and those haunting melodies. The decision hangs heavy in the salt air. Stay in the safety of the known, where every tree and wave knows her name, or sail into uncertainty, chasing ghosts that might rewrite her entire identity. Her animal family gathers close, their expressions a mix of support and worry. Taika's eyes well with innocent fear of losing her. Azul puffs up with dramatic declarations of adventure, and Sagi offers that steady, grounding presence. You feel the weight of it with her, the push and pull between comfort and destiny. In the end, curiosity and that new connection with Antonio win out. As the ship pulls away, the island shrinking like a fading dream, the music swells with a bittersweet harmony that tugs at your chest. Excitement laced with loss. The hero's journey has truly begun, and you can't look away. Pulling into the bustling port of Apollonia feels like tumbling through a portal into another realm. Towering spires gleam under the sun. Markets overflow with color and noise, and the castle stands as a monument to elegance and tradition. For Ro, it's sensory overload in the most enchanting and terrifying way. The rigid etiquette, the judging glances from nobles who whisper behind fans, the sheer scale of it all. It clashes against her free island rhythm like thunder on a clear day. She doesn't curtsy with practiced precision. She offers warm, open smiles that throw everyone off balance. Her bare feet and natural grace make her stand out, not as an outsider to pity, but as something refreshingly alive. Her companions steal the show in their own right. Azul's vanity leads to one hilarious wardrobe malfunction after another, turning formal processions into laugh-out-loud spectacles. Taika tromps through manicured gardens with childlike wonder, accidentally toppling statues and earning scoldings that only make her trumpet louder. Sagi observes it all with calm detachment, his dry wit cutting through the pomp like a gentle knife. These moments aren't filler. They're the film's way of contrasting two worlds, the wild authenticity of the island versus the polished performance of court life. You laugh, but underneath, there's a poignant commentary on how society often demands we tame our truest selves. Prince Antonio's parents, the king and queen, greet this unexpected arrival with barely concealed disapproval. Their son was meant to return ready to assume responsibilities, perhaps even with a suitable match already in mind. Enter Princess Luciana, elegant and kind, betrothed through political alliance rather than passion. She's no cardboard rival. You see the quiet sadness in her eyes, the internal conflict of a young woman trapped by duty, just as Ro feels trapped by new expectations. Her mother, Lady Ariana, however, carries a different energy, a polished smile that hides sharper edges. There's calculation in her every move, a chill that makes you narrow your eyes and wonder what schemes brew behind that refined exterior. The tension simmers, unspoken threats weaving through polite conversations and grand dinners. Ro throws herself into trying to belong. Etiquette lessons become delightful disasters, her attempts at proper posture ending with laughter and minor chaos that endears her to some and frustrates others. Yet it's in the private moments that the heart of the story beats strongest. Late-night walks with Antonio through moonlit gardens, where they share dreams and doubts. Their duet, I Need to Know, rises like a prayer set to music, voices intertwining, lyrics exploring identity, belonging, and the magnetic pull drawing them closer. The animation here is masterful. Soft golden lighting caressing their faces, the world blurring into the background so you focus entirely on that budding connection. It's not rushed puppy love. It's two souls recognizing authenticity in each other amid a sea of pretense. You invest emotionally because it feels earned, vulnerable, real even in its fairy tale wrapping. But doubt is the shadow that follows every light. Ro catches the whispers, savage, uncivilized, and they sting deeper than any reef. She questions her place here, wonders if revealing her past will only widen the chasm between her and this new world. Her animals become her lifeline. Segi's steady counsel reminds her of inner strength forged on the island. Taika's pure affection heals the small wounds of rejection. Azul's bravado turns insecurity into comedy, keeping spirits high when the weight feels too much. These relationships shine as the true emotional anchor, proving that family transcends blood or species. It's a subtle but powerful message about acceptance that lands without preaching. Clues to Ro's identity begin surfacing like treasures from the deep. The chest yields fragments, a royal emblem, fabric that matches forgotten tapestries, the lullaby echoing in the castle halls from years past. The pacing here is deliberate, letting anticipation build like a slow-burning fuse. You sense larger forces at play, political undercurrents tied to old shipwrecks and lost princesses. Meanwhile, Lady Ariana's villainy unfolds in layers, subtle poisonings of livestock, whispered manipulations designed to sow discord and advance her own ambitions for power. The danger feels intimate at first, creeping through the edges of joyful musical numbers and romantic glances, making every cheerful scene carry an undercurrent of dread. Will Ro uncover the truth before the shadows consume everything? The grand ball sequence explodes onto the screen in a riot of color and movement. Chandeliers sparkle like captured stars, gowns swirl in elegant chaos, and Ro, dressed in finery that somehow still echoes her island freedom with flowing fabrics and floral accents, moves like poetry given form. Antonio is mesmerized, drawn to her across the dance floor in a sequence charged with longing and possibility. Every step tells a story, their hands brushing, eyes locking, the world fading around them. Luciana watches with graceful melancholy, even offering quiet support that deepens her character and underscores the film's gentle feminism. It's not about competition between women but the systems that force them into corners. The direction captures it beautifully, camera gliding with the dancers, music lifting the emotion until you feel part of the celebration yourself. Yet interruptions loom, protocol crashing in, jealous eyes narrowing, the ever-present weight of duty threatening to snuff out this fragile spark. As revelations crest like a tidal wave, Ro learns she is Princess Rosella, lost daughter of a distant kingdom. Her shipwreck no accident, but tangled in webs of old intrigue and betrayal. The emotional release is profound. Tears flowing freely, reunions that hit with the force of years of longing finally answered. Her animal friends rejoice with pure, unbridled energy, their loyalty validated in the most heartwarming ways. But triumph is short-lived as Ariana's full scheme erupts. Poison spreads through the kingdom like a dark tide, threatening collapse. Ro must draw on everything, her island knowledge of nature, her bond with animals, her newfound royal resolve, to fight back. The climax pulses with high-stakes energy and clever teamwork. Azul's dramatic flair creates perfect diversions. Taika's mighty strength clears obstacles. Segi's wisdom unravels the final clues. Antonio stands beside her, their partnership a testament to mutual respect rather than rescue. Confrontations crackle with tension, Ariana's facade shattering in satisfying, dramatic fashion as her motives lay bare. The animation excels here, blending action with emotional close-ups that let you feel every heartbeat of fear, determination, and hope. No cheap thrills, just earned payoff built on the foundation of character and theme. In the gentle afterglow, resolution settles like a warm island breeze. Ro embraces both sides of herself, wild island soul and rightful princess, finding harmony where others saw conflict. Love with Antonio blooms genuine and free, unburdened by arrangements. The animals integrate into palace life with humor and grace, their presence a constant reminder of where she came from. The kingdom heals, stronger for the lessons learned about openness, courage, and the bridges between worlds. Stepping back from this vibrant tapestry, the film's lasting power lies in its sincere celebration of identity and belonging. The animation style, bursting with rich colors and fluid motion, perfectly mirrors the themes of freedom against constraint. Voice performances, particularly Kelly Sheridan's Ro, infuse every line with authentic warmth and vulnerability that pulls you in deep. The songs don't just advance plot, they become emotional landmarks, melodies that linger and invite sing-alongs across generations. Of course, as a Barbie film aimed at younger hearts, it embraces some familiar rhythms and lighter resolutions. Pacing in the middle court sequences can feel a touch repetitive for adult viewers seeking sharper edges. Yet that sincerity, that refusal to descend into cynicism, becomes its quiet strength. In an era of ironic detachment, this story's optimism feels like a cool drink after too much salt. It whispers that curiosity is a superpower, loyalty a lifeline, and stepping beyond comfort zones the only way to truly discover who we are. Ro's journey from castaway to confident woman resonates because it echoes our own quiet battles with roots and reinvention. We all carry shipwrecks in our pasts, lullabies we half remember, horizons calling us forward. The film honors the ache of those transitions while painting the joy waiting on the other side in bright, unforgettable strokes. For families sharing popcorn on rainy afternoons, for dreamers young and old, or anyone who once believed animals held the secrets to happiness, Barbie as the island princess delivers a heartfelt escape. It stands proud in the Barbie catalog for its adventurous spirit, musical charm, and emotional honesty. I'd rate it a warm 8.5 out of 10. Not without its polished formula, but wonderfully alive with color, heart, and that rare cinematic magic that makes you believe new shores are always waiting, just beyond the next wave. Picture it one last time. Ro standing tall between her island past and royal future, animals at her side, Antonio's hand in hers, the kingdom bathed in hopeful light. That image lingers long after the credits roll. The promise that wherever life strands you, authenticity, love, and a little wild courage will always guide you home. In that truth, this colorful little gem transcends its packaging and becomes something quietly timeless. Something worth revisiting whenever the real world feels too rigid or the horizon too far. The screen fades to the soft crash of waves and the distant echo of that lullaby, now whole and comforting. And you sit there, smiling, already wondering what other forgotten stories the sea might still hold. The storm rages like the fury of ancient gods awakened from their slumber, waves rising like dark mountains determined to erase every trace of human ambition from the face of the ocean. Lightning slashes across a sky turned the color of deep bruises and forgotten nightmares. Thunder rolls like the growl of some unseen beast. In the middle of this merciless chaos, a small royal ship fights desperately for survival, its wooden hull groaning and cracking under the relentless assault of wind and water. Sails tear with sharp sounds that cut through the roar, masts splinter like matchsticks. Amid this terror, a little girl, no older than 6, clings with all her small strength to a sturdy wooden chest that bobs violently in the churning sea. Her tiny fingers slip on the wet surface, her cries swallowed instantly by the thunder's deafening roar. The ocean shows no mercy. It claims the ship and everyone aboard, dragging them down into its cold depths. But somehow, against every odd, it spares her. The chest carries her like a fragile promise through the fury until she washes ashore on golden sands kissed by turquoise waves under a sky now clearing as if apologizing for its violence. She lies there, soaked, shivering, alone on a paradise that feels almost too perfect, too alive to be real. Palm trees sway gently like welcoming guardians. The jungle behind her pulses with hidden life. Curious eyes peer from the dense undergrowth, small, bright, watchful. This is no delicate court lady waiting to be saved. This is a force of nature wrapped in warmth, courage, and effortless kindness. For Ro, it is the first real glimpse of the world that exists beyond her sheltered shores, embodied in a man whose smile carries both princely charm and genuine human curiosity. The spark between them is immediate and undeniable. You feel it in your own chest because great stories rarely ignite such a connection without consequences waiting just over the horizon. Antonio, recovering on the beach surrounded by Ro and her unusual family, listens as she shares her simple life. He is captivated by her harmony with the animals, by her freedom, by the light in her eyes when she speaks of her island home. In return, he tells her of Apollonia, its grand castles, bustling markets, and the expectations that come with royalty. Then comes the invitation that changes everything. He asks her to return with him. In his kingdom, he believes, they may find answers about her past, the origins hidden inside that weathered chest and those haunting lullaby fragments. The decision hangs heavy in the warm, salt air, thick with possibility and fear. Stay in the safety and familiarity of the only home she has ever known, or sail toward uncertainty, chasing ghosts that might rewrite her entire identity and future? Her animal family gathers close, their faces reflecting the storm of emotions inside Ro. Taika's big eyes well with innocent fear of losing her beloved friend. Azul puffs up with dramatic declarations about grand adventures and new audiences for his performances. Sagi offers that steady, grounding wisdom that cuts through panic like sunlight through leaves. You feel the full weight of this choice with her, the universal push and pull between comfort and destiny, between the known and the possible. In the end, a mixture of deep curiosity and the new magnetic pull toward Antonio tips the balance. As the ship sets sail, the island begins to shrink on the horizon like a fading, beautiful dream. The music swells with bittersweet harmony, excitement laced with the ache of leaving something precious behind. The hero's journey has truly begun, and the pull to keep watching grows stronger with every frame. The voyage itself offers moments of wonder and bonding. Ro stands at the railing, wind in her hair, watching dolphins leap alongside the ship while her friends adjust to life at sea in humorous and touching ways. Antonio and Ro share quiet conversations that deepen their connection. The animation captures every detail, the sparkle of sunlight on waves, the soft glow on their faces, the way the world seems larger and full of promise. Yet beneath the beauty, you sense the gathering clouds. The past is calling. The wider world will test everything Ro believes about herself. And somewhere in the distance, forces already in motion will challenge not just her identity, but the very future of the kingdom she sails toward. As land appears and the port of Apollonia comes into view, the real adventure and the real trials are only beginning. The ship slices through the final stretch of glittering water as the kingdom of Apollonia emerges from the haze like a vision from a half-forgotten dream. Sunlight dances across the waves, turning them into liquid gold, while the bustling harbor comes alive with the chaotic symphony of arrival. Wooden docks creak under the weight of crates and barrels. Merchants hawk their goods in voices rough from salt air, spices that sting the nostrils with exotic fire, bolts of shimmering silk that flutter like captured rainbows, baskets overflowing with fruits whose scents mix with the sharp tang of fresh fish still fighting in their nets. For Ro, every new smell, every new sound, every new color feels like stepping into a painting that moves and breathes and judges you all at once. Her bare feet touch the cool, unforgiving cobblestones and she pauses, a small shiver traveling up her spine. This ground doesn't yield like warm island sand. It doesn't welcome, it demands. Prince Antonio stays right beside her, his presence a steady anchor in the storm of new sensations. His hand brushes her arm with gentle reassurance, his eyes shining with pride at showing her his world, yet shadowed with awareness of how overwhelming it must feel. Behind them, her faithful family makes their own entrance. Sagi, the wise red panda, steps forward with calm, measured dignity, his dark eyes taking in every detail, every face, every hidden glance as if already solving puzzles no one else has noticed. Azul, the magnificent peacock, cannot help himself. He struts ahead with theatrical grandeur, fanning his iridescent tail feathers in a brilliant display that catches every ray of sunlight and draws gasps, laughter, and pointed fingers from the gathered crowd. Look upon true elegance. His every movement seems to proclaim, turning potential awkwardness into pure spectacle. Taika, the baby elephant full of boundless joy, trumpets excitedly and tromps forward with heavy, playful steps, nearly toppling a tall stack of crates before Ro gently guides her back with a soft word and a loving touch on her trunk. The carriage ride to the palace winds through streets alive with color and motion. People in fine embroidered clothes pause their daily business to stare. Children point. Nobles whisper behind lace fans. The castle rises on the hill like a crown made of marble and gold, its towers reaching proudly toward the sky, its walls gleaming under the sun, as if polished by centuries of power and tradition. Gardens visible from the road burst with perfectly arranged flowers in geometric patterns that feel almost too orderly compared to the wild beauty Ro left behind. As they pass through the towering palace gates, the atmosphere shifts palpably. Servants bow low in crisp uniforms, but their eyes flicker with open curiosity and unspoken judgment. Courtiers in the grand halls turn their heads in unison, fans fluttering faster, voices dropping to hushed, poisonous tones. Who is this wild creature the prince has brought home? Look at her hair, her walk, her companions. The words may not all reach Ro's ears, but the energy behind them does. It presses against her like an invisible weight. In the magnificent throne room, with ceilings so high they seem to touch the heavens and floors polished until they reflect every movement like still water, the king and queen sit upon their ornate thrones. Carved waves and royal symbols adorn the wood, reminders of their lineage and responsibility. The king's face is stern yet fair, a ruler carrying the heavy burden of governance and legacy. The queen's expression is more layered, disapproval for her son's unexpected companion mixed with genuine maternal worry about the path he seems ready to choose. Antonio speaks with warmth and conviction, recounting the dramatic rescue at sea, Ro's kindness, her extraordinary harmony with the animals, the mystery of her past. The royal couple listens politely, but their eyes keep drifting to Sagi perched with quiet intelligence, to Azul dramatically preening on a nearby marble pedestal, to Taika shifting excitedly and exploring the air with her curious trunk. Almost immediately, the lessons in courtly behavior begin. An elderly instructor with a severely pinned hairstyle and precise, bird-like movements demonstrates the perfect curtsy. Back ramrod straight, head inclined at exactly the right angle, hands positioned with delicate grace. Ro tries her best, pouring her island heart into every attempt. But her body remembers years of climbing vines, dancing freely with the wind, swimming with the currents. Her movements flow like water rather than obeying stiff lines. The result is endearingly imperfect. A deep, genuine bow that feels more like an open-hearted embrace than calculated deference. The instructor sighs in exasperation. Ladies in waiting hide giggles behind their fans. Yet in these scenes the animation shines with heartfelt beauty. Soft golden light caressing Ro's determined face. Her expressive eyes revealing frustration, vulnerability, and that unbreakable inner spark that refuses to dim. You feel for her on a deep level because this isn't merely learning manners. It is the universal struggle of trying to reshape yourself to fit a world that was never built for someone with your kind of wild, authentic soul. Her animal companions become both the source of much-needed laughter and the emotional pillars that keep her standing. Azul's vanity creates one hilarious sequence after another. He insists on joining every formal procession, his enormous tail feathers causing trays of delicate porcelain to wobble dangerously and groups of courtiers to scatter like colorful pins in a game. His dramatic apologies, complete with sweeping bows and theatrical sighs, only amplify the comedy and slowly win over even the most rigid palace staff. Taika's innocent energy turns the manicured palace gardens into her personal playground. She tromps through carefully tended flower beds with pure delight, sending petals flying and earning sharp scoldings that melt into reluctant smiles once Ro explains her gentle, loving nature. Sagi remains the quiet heart of the group, offering wise, understated observations that cut through courtly nonsense like a cool breeze on a hot day. His calm presence reminds everyone, including Ro, that true strength has nothing to do with perfect posture and everything to do with knowing who you are when the world stops watching. Prince Antonio carves out every possible private moment with her. In the moonlit palace gardens, where night-blooming flowers release intoxicating sweet fragrances and fountains murmur like gentle confidants sharing ancient secrets, their conversations unfold naturally and deeply. He speaks of the crushing weight of his royal destiny, the pressure to marry for political alliance, to rule with unyielding wisdom, to honor generations of tradition that sometimes feel like chains. Ro opens up about her island with aching longing in her voice, painting pictures with words of swinging through lush canopies, singing without fear of judgment, living in perfect, harmonious rhythm with her animal family and the rhythms of nature itself. Their hands find each other. Their eyes linger longer with every shared silence. The attraction builds slowly, authentically, layered with real emotional stakes that make the audience lean in because it feels earned, vulnerable, and profoundly human. Then the music takes over in one of the film's most memorable and emotionally resonant sequences. Their duet, I Need to Know, rises like a prayer set against the stars. His voice strong and warm, hers pure and soaring like sunlight breaking through clouds. They weave lyrics that speak directly to the heart of the entire story. Questions of identity, the search for belonging, the terrifying yet beautiful risk of loving someone across worlds that seem impossibly far apart. The animation achieves something close to magic here. Soft, dreamy focus on their faces, the background melting gently into shadows and sparkling garden lights. Every frame composed with painterly care to capture the raw vulnerability of new, genuine connection. You feel the emotional depth in your own chest because this song transcends mere romance. It becomes the soul of the narrative, speaking about courage, self-discovery, and the power of seeing someone truly for who they are beneath all the expectations and labels. Yet even in these tender moments, shadows are lengthening across the kingdom. Princess Luciana arrives accompanied by her mother, Lady Ariana. Luciana carries herself with elegant poise and genuine kindness in her eyes. She is no one-dimensional rival. You sense her own quiet sadness, the weight of being promised in marriage to a good man she respects but does not love. A gentle, understanding glance passes between her and Ro, adding surprising emotional nuance and reinforcing the film's subtle message about women navigating the same unfair systems. Lady Ariana, however, is something else entirely. She glides through the palace halls like silk wrapped around steel, her smiles flawless, her words dripping with honeyed concern, but her eyes cold, calculating, always measuring angles of power. You notice how she watches Ro with particular intensity, how she skillfully steers conversations to highlight differences and plant seeds of doubt in the king and queen's minds. Early, subtle signs of her darker schemes begin to appear. A few royal livestock falling mysteriously ill in the stables, quiet whispers of instability and fear beginning to spread through the lower ranks of the court. Nothing dramatic enough to cause open panic yet, but enough to create that constant, delicious undercurrent of suspense. Something is deeply wrong. Danger is coiling quietly beneath the surface beauty. Ro feels the growing divide more acutely with each passing day. The whispers follow her like invisible shadows. The wild girl, the prince's exotic fancy, certainly not fit for royalty. They cut at her confidence, making her question whether she can ever truly belong in this polished world of crowns and expectations. Nights grow heavier. She sits by an open window overlooking the distant sea, the wooden chest from her shipwreck open beside her, humming that haunting lullaby as fragments of memory tug at her heart. Small but tantalizing clues emerge. A faded royal emblem hidden inside the lid that matches symbols in the palace archives. A melody that echoes faintly in ancient songs preserved by the court musicians. Each discovery pulls her deeper into the mystery of her true identity. Her animal friends rally around her without fail. Taika curls up close, offering the simple, powerful medicine of unconditional love and warm hugs. Azul launches into silly, over-the-top performances designed specifically to make her laugh until her sides hurt. Sagi provides steady, profound counsel, reminding her that the sea did not bring her here by accident, and that inner truth will always find its way. The preparations for the Grand Royal Ball add exciting new layers of anticipation and pressure. Teams of seamstresses work late into the night, creating a breathtaking gown for Ro that masterfully blends courtly elegance with subtle echoes of her island freedom. Flowing fabrics reminiscent of ocean waves, delicate embroidery featuring floral patterns that seem to move with her steps. Dance practices with Antonio become electrically charged, their movements synchronized not just physically but emotionally, every turn and touch deepening the bond between them. Even Luciana offers quiet, supportive advice during these sessions, revealing a sisterly warmth that further enriches the story's themes of female solidarity, despite societal forces designed to create division. As this part of the journey draws toward its close, Ro stands alone on a high palace balcony, the cool night wind playing gently with her long hair. The kingdom spreads out below like a glittering sea of lights and possibilities. The lullaby whispers again in her mind, louder and more insistent than before. The past is calling her name. The future remains uncertain and full of hidden dangers. Antonio's warm smile lingers in her thoughts, but so do the cold, calculating eyes of Lady Ariana watching from the shadows. Her loyal animal family sleeps peacefully nearby, their presence a constant reminder of where she truly comes from and who she has always been. You can feel the story tightening like a bowstring. The grand ball is approaching fast, promising beauty, romance, and potential heartbreak. Revelations hover just out of reach, ready to shatter carefully built illusions. The wild, courageous heart that once ruled an island paradise now faces its greatest test yet within these walls of marble and expectation. The tension refuses to release. The heart races with anticipation, and the story pulls you forward, refusing to let go even for a moment. The night of the Grand Royal Ball descends upon the palace like a dazzling storm of light, music, and hidden dangers, turning every marble hall and gilded corridor into a living canvas of hope, romance, and simmering intrigue. Crystal chandeliers suspended from the impossibly high vaulted ceilings sparkle like thousands of captured stars, their prisms scattering rainbow fragments across the vast ballroom floor polished to such a mirror-like shine that every swirling gown, every hesitant step, and every stolen glance reflects back in perfect, almost haunting detail. The air hangs heavy with the intoxicating blend of fresh-cut flowers in towering arrangements, melting candle wax, rich perfumes worn by nobles who spent hours perfecting their appearances, and the faint metallic undertone of tension that no amount of elegance can fully mask. Musicians in the far corner tune their violins and flutes, the strings humming with anticipatory energy, while servants glide silently like ghosts carrying silver trays laden with sparkling goblets of wine and delicate pastries that look almost too beautiful to eat. This is far more than a simple celebration. It is a carefully orchestrated stage where political alliances are silently negotiated. Hearts are laid bare and tested, old secrets threaten to explode into the open, and one young woman's destiny hangs in the balance between two entirely different worlds. Rose stands in her private chambers before a tall, ornate mirror framed in gold, the team of seamstresses making final, nervous adjustments to her breathtaking gown. The dress itself is a work of thoughtful cinematic artistry. Layers upon layers of flowing, ethereal fabric in soft shades of ocean blues and lush island greens that ripple and sway with her every movement, evoking the waves and palm fronds of her distant home. Delicate floral embroidery catches the warm candlelight, tiny pearls and subtle shell accents woven in as quiet nods to her shipwreck origins and the sea that both took and returned her. She turns slowly, her long golden hair cascading in loose, natural waves adorned with small, shimmering accessories that make her look every inch the princess she was born to be. Yet her eyes in the reflection still carry that untamed, free-spirited spark of the island girl who once danced barefoot with the wind. There is a quiet vulnerability in this moment, a deep breath as she confronts the image staring back at her. Sagi watches from a velvet cushion nearby with his characteristic quiet dignity and wise approval, his red panda eyes reflecting both pride and gentle caution. Azul struts around dramatically, fanning his magnificent iridescent tail feathers and showering her with lavish, over-the-top compliments mixed with his signature theatrical flair, trying to ease her nerves with humor. Taika, ever the embodiment of pure affection, trumpets softly and wraps her little trunk around Rose's waist in the tightest, most comforting hug imaginable, as if instinctively sensing the whirlwind of doubt, excitement, and fear swirling inside her dearest friend. Downstairs in the grand ballroom, the atmosphere crackles with electric energy and unspoken stakes. Prince Antonio stands tall and regal in his formal princely attire, looking every bit the future king, but his gaze keeps drifting repeatedly toward the grand staircase, his heart clearly already belonging to the woman about to appear. The king and queen preside from their elevated thrones with practiced royal composure, their faces carefully neutral masks hiding their deep concerns about their son's choices and the stability of the kingdom. Princess Luciana moves gracefully among the assembled guests, her own elegant gown radiant under the lights, yet her eyes carry the quiet melancholy of a young woman bound by duty rather than love. Lady Ariana glides through the crowd like a predator disguised in the finest silk, her smile perfectly calibrated, her conversations laced with subtle poison as she plants seeds of doubt and advances her carefully hidden ambitions for power. You can feel the powerful undercurrents pulling in every direction. Duty clashing violently with desire, ancient traditions battling against emerging truth, the polished, glittering surface of court life beginning to fracture under the pressure of real, messy human emotions and long-buried secrets. Then the moment comes. Ro descends the wide staircase. The entire ballroom seems to freeze, every conversation dying mid-sentence. A collective gasp ripples through the nobles like a wave. Antonio's face transforms with pure, unguarded awe and love as he watches her. She moves with that effortless, natural island grace that no etiquette lesson could ever fully contain. Flowing, alive, radiant, as if the music itself has been waiting just for her. He meets her at the bottom of the stairs, offering his hand with a tenderness that speaks volumes. Their first dance begins, and it is nothing short of pure cinematic magic. The orchestra swells into a sweeping, romantic waltz. Their bodies move in perfect, intuitive synchronization, every turn, every gentle touch, every locked gaze charged with the deep emotions they have been building since that fateful stormy rescue on the island beach. The animation captures it with breathtaking skill, the camera circling them gracefully, soft golden lighting bathing their faces in warmth, the surrounding dancers and lights softly blurring into a vibrant, colorful backdrop so that the audience feels completely immersed in the intimate, electric connection between these two souls. You cannot help but root for them with your whole heart, because this is not some forced fairy tale romance manufactured for plot convenience. It is two genuine souls recognizing something essential, rare, and true in each other amid a sea of expectations and pressures that constantly threaten to tear them apart. As the evening unfolds and the dances continue, smaller but deeply meaningful conversations and moments layer in rich emotional depth. Luciana approaches Ro during a brief pause with surprising genuine warmth, sharing quiet words of encouragement and understanding that reveal her own trapped heart and the heavy burdens she carries. There is no petty jealousy or cruel rivalry in this interaction. Instead, a subtle, beautiful sisterhood begins to form between the two young women, a recognition of the unfair societal systems that often force women into competition when they could be powerful allies. The film handles these quiet beats with impressive sensitivity and nuance for its genre, adding layers that make the characters feel profoundly human and real. Meanwhile, Lady Ariana works tirelessly in the shadows, whispering calculated doubts into the ears of the king and queen about the instability Ro's presence has supposedly brought to the court, about the mysterious illnesses affecting the royal livestock, about how this wild island girl could never truly fit into their world of tradition and responsibility. The sense of danger feels closer now, more tangible and threatening with every passing minute. You sense the noose of intrigue tightening slowly around everyone. Open questions multiply in your mind. How far will Lady Ariana go to secure her power? What is her ultimate goal? Will the truth about Ro's past surface before her schemes destroy everything? Then arrives the pivotal, game-changing sequence that sends shockwaves through the entire story. During a quieter interlude away from the crowded main dance floor, Ro finds herself inexplicably drawn to an ancient, dusty tapestry hanging in a dimly lit side hall. Something about the embroidered scenes of ships and distant kingdoms tugs insistently at long-buried memories deep within her. She begins humming that familiar, haunting lullaby that has followed her since childhood. The court musicians nearby catch the melody and gently pick it up, the notes filling the air with ancient, emotional resonance. Antonio joins her voice with his own, their duet swelling beautifully. The king and queen suddenly freeze in place. Recognition dawns across their faces like sunrise after the longest night. Piece by piece, like a complex puzzle finally coming together, the revelations crash over the room like powerful ocean waves against the shore. The wooden chest from the shipwreck yields its final secrets. The faded emblem inside matches royal symbols from a lost neighboring kingdom. The lullaby is the exact same melody once sung to a little princess named Rosella before her ship vanished tragically at sea many years ago. Ro is Princess Rosella, the lost daughter of royalty, taken by fate and the merciless storm, finally returned to her birthright at last. The emotional release that follows is profound, cathartic, and masterfully paced to let every feeling breathe. Tears flow freely down faces. Warm, tearful embraces happen in waves. The animals react with pure, unbridled, heart-melting joy. Sagi nodding with deep, satisfied wisdom. Azul dramatically fanning his feathers in the most extravagant celebration possible. Taika trumpeting so loudly and joyfully that the sound echoes through the grand halls like a victory cry. Ro stands in the center of it all, completely overwhelmed, the heavy weight of years of wondering, loneliness, and unanswered questions finally beginning to lift from her shoulders even as brand new questions and responsibilities flood in to take their place. Who was truly responsible for the original shipwreck tragedy? How does this stunning revelation change her place not just in Apollonia but in the wider world? Antonio looks at her with even deeper love and admiration. Now seeing the complete, extraordinary soul who has always been destined for greatness beyond what anyone imagined. The animation lingers on every tear, every trembling lip, every heartfelt hug in intimate close-up detail that makes you feel the powerful catharsis resonating in your own chest, connecting you emotionally to Ro's long journey. But this hard-won joy proves painfully short-lived as Lady Ariana's carefully constructed schemes finally erupt into the open amid the ongoing festivities. News spreads rapidly through the palace like wildfire. More livestock across the kingdom have fallen mysteriously ill from poison, fear and panic beginning to ripple through the people and guards alike. Ariana moves with calculated speed, positioning herself and her daughter Luciana as the safe, proper, traditional choice for the future, while painting Ro as the dangerous, disruptive outsider who has brought chaos to their once stable realm. The tension spikes dramatically. Heated confrontations begin to simmer and threaten to boil over. Ro, drawing instinctively on her deep island knowledge of nature, plants, and animals, starts piecing together the hidden connections. Her unique, almost magical ability to communicate with creatures great and small becomes absolutely crucial in the unfolding drama. She speaks softly with palace birds and small animals in hidden corners, uncovering damning evidence of sabotage that points directly and unmistakably toward Lady Ariana's ruthless ambitions for control. The danger escalates from veiled whispers and subtle manipulations into something far more active and threatening. You feel the storytelling shift palpably. The colors remain vibrantly beautiful, but the shadows grow deeper and more menacing, the musical score carrying urgent, dramatic undertones beneath the surface of the continuing celebration. Antonio stands firmly and loyally by Ro's side through it all, their budding partnership strengthening and maturing through shared crisis and mutual respect rather than simple rescue. Luciana finds herself painfully torn between blood loyalty to her scheming mother and her own growing sense of right and wrong, her choices adding real moral complexity and emotional weight to the narrative. The animal friends prove their immense value again and again, not merely as cute comic relief but as brave, essential heroes in the struggle. Azul uses his flamboyant flair to create brilliant, perfectly timed distractions. Taika employs her surprising strength to protect friends and carry secret messages. Segi's calm, profound wisdom helps unravel the final, tangled threads of Ariana's dark plot. The film masterfully blends high-stakes action, raw emotion, and heartfelt warmth in these sequences, never rushing the most pivotal character moments or thematic beats. You watch Ro grow visibly and believably in real time, still very much the free-spirited island girl at her core, but now courageously embracing her royal heritage and responsibilities with a new sense of purpose and inner strength. Her internal conflict feels rich, authentic, and deeply relatable. The painful pull between two very different identities, the lingering fear of losing her true self in the process, and the growing hope of somehow uniting both worlds into something stronger and more beautiful than either could be alone. As the once glorious ball descends into a state of controlled but intense chaos filled with unfolding revelations, rising threats, and emotional confrontations, Ro faces a defining choice that will test every part of her being. Will she retreat to the safety and simplicity of the island life she knows so well, or will she stand and fight with everything she has for her rightful place, for the truth, and for the genuine love that has bloomed so powerfully against all odds? The entire kingdom now stands on a precarious edge. Lady Ariana's villainy is beginning to unravel in spectacular fashion, but remains extremely dangerous in these final desperate moments. The past and present collide with spectacular, emotionally charged force, leaving the audience breathless, fully invested, and desperate to know what happens next. The lullaby that once haunted Ro's lonely nights now rings out with new, triumphant power, whole, complete, and transformed into a resounding symbol of identity finally reclaimed against impossible odds. You can feel the entire story surging forward with unstoppable narrative momentum, every scene building toward an epic climax. The wave is cresting. Hearts will be tested to their absolute limits in the coming moments. Truth will demand its full, sometimes painful price. And the courageous wild princess at the very center of the swirling storm must summon every ounce of strength, wisdom, and love she possesses to bridge two vastly different worlds before one of them is lost to her forever. The music continues to swell dramatically. The lights shimmer and dance across worried faces. And this unforgettable night, filled with both magic and menace, is still far from over. The grand ball that began with such dazzling promise now pulses with a dangerous new rhythm, the music still playing but carrying sharper edges beneath its elegant melody, as if the orchestra itself senses the storm breaking loose inside the palace walls. Crystal chandeliers continue to cast their rainbow light across the polished floors, but the shadows in the corners feel longer now, heavier, filled with the weight of long-hidden secrets finally clawing their way into the open. Ro, newly revealed as Princess Rosella, stands at the center of it all, her beautiful gown flowing around her like the ocean waves that once carried her to that lonely island, her heart racing with a whirlwind of joy from the revelations, fear of what comes next, and a fierce determination that burns brighter than any chandelier in the room. The king and queen look at her with new eyes filled with tears of recognition, regret for years lost, and growing pride in the courageous young woman who has returned to them against all odds. Antonio remains steadfast by her side, his hand firmly holding hers, their connection now stronger than ever, forged in the fire of truth and shared vulnerability. But Lady Ariana is not finished. Far from it. Her carefully constructed mask of politeness and ambition has cracked wide open, revealing the cold, calculating schemer beneath. News of the escalating poisonings spreads through the palace like wildfire carried on fearful whispers. More animals in the royal stables collapsing, servants falling ill, panic beginning to ripple outward into the kingdom itself. Ariana moves with desperate speed now, her voice rising in calculated outrage as she accuses Ro of bringing chaos and danger to Apollonia, positioning herself and her daughter Luciana as the only safe, traditional choice to save the realm from this wild outsider. The tension in the ballroom becomes almost unbearable. You feel it in every frame, the animation shifting subtly, the once vibrant colors taking on slightly darker tones, the camera movements growing more urgent, the musical score layering in dramatic strings and pounding percussion that mirror the racing hearts of everyone involved. This is the moment where the story stops being merely charming and becomes truly gripping, where the stakes rise to kingdom-shaking heights. Ro refuses to back down, drawing on everything she learned during her years alone on the island, her deep connection to nature, her intuitive understanding of animals, her unshakable inner strength. She begins to fight back in ways no one in the polished court could have anticipated. She slips away from the main chaos with her loyal animal family close behind. Sagi offers calm, precise guidance, his wise red panda mind already mapping out the connections between the poisonings and Ariana's movements. Azul uses his flamboyant, dramatic flair to create brilliant distractions, strutting through hallways and drawing guards and servants away with over-the-top performances that buy precious time. Taika, the baby elephant whose strength and loyalty know no bounds, helps clear paths and carries small but crucial pieces of evidence they uncover together. The teamwork here is pure cinematic joy mixed with high-stakes suspense. You watch these beloved characters work in perfect harmony, their individual personalities shining while serving the greater purpose, reminding us that true family, no matter how unusual, can overcome even the darkest plots. The confrontation builds across multiple tense locations. The moonlit palace gardens where Ro first shared her dreams with Antonio, the ancient library filled with dusty scrolls that hold clues to the original shipwreck, and finally the royal stables where the poisoning plot reaches its terrifying peak. Ro communicates directly with the frightened animals there, her voice soft yet commanding, learning the exact source of the toxins and how Ariana's agents have been administering them. The animation excels in these sequences, blending beautiful character close-ups that capture every flicker of fear, determination, and hope on Ro's face with dynamic action moments where her island-honed agility saves the day. You feel the emotional weight with her, the fear of failing her new family and her old one, the pressure of suddenly being a princess with responsibilities she never asked for, the joy of finally understanding her full identity while fighting to protect it. Antonio joins the fight fully, standing shoulder to shoulder with her, their partnership evolving from budding romance into a powerful alliance of equals. Luciana makes her own pivotal choice, turning against her mother's schemes at the critical moment, adding layers of moral complexity and redemption that make the story feel richer and more human. Lady Ariana's villainy reaches its dramatic climax in a spectacular confrontation in the Grand Hall. Her true motives spill out in a heated monologue: power, control, resentment toward the royal family, and a desire to rule through her daughter. The animation captures her unmasking with chilling effectiveness, her elegant features twisting with rage, the lighting shifting to harsher shadows across her face. But Ro, empowered by both her island wisdom and her royal blood, stands tall and counters with truth, courage, and the support of everyone who believes in her. The animals play crucial heroic roles, Taika using her strength to block escape routes, Azul creating a dazzling feathered diversion that confuses Ariana's remaining allies, Sagi revealing the final piece of evidence that seals the scheme's collapse. The action never feels cheap or over the top. It stays rooted in character, emotion, and the film's core themes of authenticity, loyalty, and bridging different worlds. As the confrontation resolves and Ariana is taken away to face justice, a profound sense of relief washes over the kingdom. The poisonings are stopped. Antidotes are distributed thanks to Ro's knowledge of natural remedies. The king and queen embrace their long-lost daughter fully, tears flowing as years of grief transform into celebration. Antonio declares his love openly, free from the chains of arranged duty, and Ro accepts with a radiant smile that lights up the entire screen. The animals are welcomed as true members of the royal family, their presence bringing ongoing joy and humor even in the resolution. Azul demanding a special perch in the throne room, Taika receiving all the treats her heart desires, Sagi offering quiet wisdom that guides future decisions. The animation returns to its brightest, most vibrant colors, the music swelling into triumphant, uplifting melodies that make your spirit soar right alongside the characters. Ro stands on the balcony once more, this time not with uncertainty but with peaceful strength, looking out over the kingdom that is now truly her home while still carrying the island inside her heart. She has united two worlds, the wild freedom of nature and the structured beauty of civilization, proving that identity is not one or the other, but the courageous choice to embrace both. The lullaby plays in full now, complete and beautiful, sung by Ro and those she loves, symbolizing the healing of old wounds and the beginning of a brighter future. Emotional beats breathe deeply here. Quiet conversations between Ro and Luciana that solidify their friendship. Heartfelt talks between Ro and Antonio about building a life together on their own terms. Tender moments with her animal family that remind us where her true power always came from. The resolution feels genuinely earned, satisfying every open question built throughout the story. No loose threads remain. Every character arc reaches a meaningful conclusion. The kingdom begins to heal and thrive under this new understanding of acceptance and courage. You sit back with a full heart, having experienced not just a children's movie but a heartfelt journey about discovering who you are when life strips everything away and then gives you the chance to rebuild stronger. Stepping back from the vibrant final frames, this part of the film cements its place as a standout in the Barbie series. The way it blends high-stakes action with emotional honesty, the beautiful animation that never loses its charm even in darker moments, the songs that carry real narrative and thematic weight. These elements create an experience that lingers long after the screen fades. For families, for dreamers, for anyone who has ever felt caught between worlds, Barbie as the island princess offers something special. The reminder that your past does not define your future, that true family finds you, and that courage and authenticity will always light the way home. The wave has broken, the storm has passed, and in the gentle calm that follows, Ro's smile tells us everything we need to know about hope, love, and the beautiful adventure of becoming who you were always meant to be. The storm has finally passed, and the kingdom of Apollonia wakes to a new kind of dawn, one where the air feels lighter, the colors somehow brighter, and the weight of old lies has been lifted from every heart. No, Princess Rosella stands on that same high balcony where she once wrestled with doubt and longing. But this time her shoulders are relaxed, her eyes steady, looking out over the land that has become hers in every way that matters. The island girl and the lost princess have finally become one complete soul, and you can see it in the soft smile playing on her lips, in the way the morning light catches her hair like it's welcoming her home at last. The lullaby that haunted her for so long now plays fully, sweetly, carried on the breeze as she sings it quietly with the people who love her. It doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like the beginning of something deeper, something real. Antonio steps up beside her, slipping his hand into hers with that easy confidence that comes from knowing exactly where your heart belongs. No more arranged matches, no more duties standing between them like a wall. Their love has been tested by shipwrecks, court intrigue, poison, and identity crises, and it has come through stronger, warmer, more honest. You watch them share a quiet laugh, the kind that only two people who have truly seen each other can share, and it hits you right in the chest. This isn't just a fairy tale kiss and happy ending. It's two people choosing each other every single day, choosing to build something new that honors both the wild island and the royal crown. The animation holds on their faces just long enough for you to feel it. The tenderness, the promise, the quiet joy of finally being free to love without fear. Her animal family, of course, stays right at the heart of everything. Sigi offers his gentle wisdom during quiet council meetings, helping the king and queen see the value in listening to the natural world. Azul demands, and receives, a special perch near the throne where he can show off his feathers to visiting dignitaries, turning royal proceedings into moments of unexpected delight. And Taika? She tromps through the gardens with the same boundless energy, now welcomed with open arms instead of scoldings, her trunk wrapping around Ro in those massive, loving hugs that remind everyone what really matters. These aren't sidekicks anymore. They are family, proof that the truest bonds don't care about species or status. They care about loyalty, about showing up when it matters most, about loving someone exactly as they are. As the kingdom heals from Ariana's schemes, you see the real beauty of this story unfold in the small, everyday moments. Servants who once whispered about the wild girl now smile at Ro with genuine warmth. Luciana and Rosella share long conversations on garden benches, building a friendship that feels earned and meaningful. The film never forces heavy messages, but they land anyway, about acceptance, about the courage it takes to be yourself when the world wants you to fit neatly into a box, about how different worlds can make each other richer instead of tearing each other apart. There's something quietly powerful in watching Rosella move between the palace and the sea, bringing island songs into royal halls and royal stories back to the shores she once called home. It makes you think about your own life, the pieces of you that come from different places, the identities you've had to reconcile along the way. Looking back across the whole journey, this movie does something special that many animated films aimed at younger audiences miss. It never talks down to its viewers. The animation is vibrant and full of life. The songs are genuinely catchy and emotionally grounded, and the voice performances, especially Kelly Sheridan as Ro, bring such warmth and vulnerability that you forget you're watching drawings on a screen. Sure, some of the court sequences feel a little familiar if you've seen other Barbie movies, and the villain's plan follows a pretty classic path. But those small familiar beats don't weaken the story. They give it a comforting rhythm, like a favorite song you're happy to hear again because the heart behind it is true. In a world full of slick, ironic entertainment that sometimes feels too cool for genuine feeling, Barbie as the island princess stands out for its sincerity. It believes in its own magic, and that belief becomes contagious. The direction lets the emotional moments breathe. The quiet scenes where Ro wrestles with her identity hit just as hard as the big rescue sequences or the dramatic unmasking of Ariana. The color palette shifts beautifully from the lush, untamed greens and blues of the island to the polished golds and marbles of the palace. And then back again, visually telling the story of someone learning to carry both worlds inside her. The music swells at exactly the right times, lifting you up during the joyful reunions and tightening during the dangerous moments, so you're never quite sure what's coming next. Even though you know it will all work out in the end. That's good storytelling, making you feel the journey even when you know the destination. For families watching together, this one is pure gold. Kids will love the colorful animals, the catchy songs, the adventurous spirit. Parents will appreciate the deeper layers about identity, found family, and staying true to yourself. It's the kind of movie you can put on when the day feels heavy and walk away feeling a little lighter, a little more hopeful. It reminds you that no matter where life strands you, on a deserted island, in a confusing new world, or somewhere in between, you carry the power to build home wherever you go. The courage Ro shows isn't loud or flashy. It's steady. It's kind. It's the courage to keep asking, who am I really? Until the answer feels whole. And that, more than anything, is why this little film stays with you. It doesn't try to be the biggest or the edgiest. It simply tells its story with color, heart, and honesty, and that turns out to be more than enough. Among the Barbie movies, Barbie as the Island Princess holds a special place for its sense of adventure, its celebration of nature and friendship, and its gentle but firm message that you are allowed to be more than one thing. You are allowed to carry multiple shores inside your heart. I give it a warm, well-earned 8.5 out of 10. It's not perfect, but its imperfections feel charming rather than frustrating, and its strengths, its emotional sincerity, its beautiful music, its lovable characters, shine brightly enough to make you forgive the rest. It's the kind of movie that makes you want to sing along, hug someone close, and maybe even look at the horizon with fresh eyes, wondering what unknown shores might be waiting for you too. So picture this final image. Rosella standing between the sea and the castle, wind in her hair, her animal family gathered around her, Antonio smiling at her side, the kingdom peaceful behind them. The lullaby fades gently into the sound of waves, and you're left with this quiet, wonderful feeling that no matter how lost you've ever felt, something beautiful is always waiting if you're brave enough to sail toward it. That's the magic this film leaves behind. Not just a happy ending, but a hopeful beginning. And in a world that sometimes feels too complicated, that kind of hope is worth everything. You know that feeling when a story ends but it refuses to let you go? When the screen fades to black, and yet the music, the colors, the emotions keep swirling inside your chest like the tide refusing to pull back from the shore. That's exactly what Barbie as the Island Princess does so beautifully. It doesn't just wrap up neatly and say goodbye. It leaves you sitting there, thinking about Rosella, and the way she moved between two completely different worlds without ever losing the light that made her who she was. And as the kingdom celebrates its new beginning, you start to realize this isn't only a tale about a lost princess finding her way home. It's about every single one of us who has ever felt caught between versions of ourselves, wondering which piece belongs and which one we have to leave behind. Let me take you deeper into those final quiet moments that the film lingers on with such care. Rosella walking barefoot along the palace shore at sunrise, the waves gently kissing her feet just like they did back on her island. The way she closes her eyes and lets the salt air fill her lungs, remembering every vine she swung from, every song she sang to the trees, every hug from her animal family that kept her heart warm during the loneliest nights. The animation here is soft and almost meditative, the golden light painting her face, the gentle movement of her hair in the breeze, the subtle shift in her expression as past and present finally settle into harmony inside her. It's not rushed. The filmmakers let you feel the weight and the wonder of that integration. She doesn't reject her royal blood, nor does she abandon the wild island spirit that raised her. Instead, she carries both, like treasures from different oceans now resting together in the same chest. Antonio joins her there, as he always seems to when the moment matters most. Their conversation isn't filled with grand declarations or over-the-top romance. It's simple, honest, the kind of talk two people have when they've already been through fire together. He teases her gently about that first rescue, how a mysterious island girl pulled him from crocodile-infested waters and stole his heart in the same motion. She laughs, that bright, free laugh that still carries the echo of jungle breezes, and reminds him that she never planned any of this. The sea brought her. Fate, or maybe something wiser, guided her steps. And now here they are, choosing each other not because a crown demands it, but because their hearts finally found a home in one another. You feel the sincerity in every glance, every small touch. This is love that survived etiquette lessons, court whispers, poisoning plots, and identity-shattering revelations. That kind of love feels earned, and the film makes sure you feel every bit of it. The animal family gets their own beautiful resolution too, woven naturally into the celebration without ever feeling forced. Sagi finds a quiet corner in the royal library where his thoughtful nature fits perfectly, offering advice that blends island wisdom with royal strategy. Azul, of course, becomes something of a celebrity, his dramatic flair and colorful displays turning formal events into unforgettable spectacles that even the stuffiest nobles secretly enjoy. Taika romps freely through the expanded palace gardens, now designed with more wild spaces just for her. Her joyful trumpets mixing with the sound of fountains and laughter. Watching them accepted so fully brings one of the deepest emotional payoffs. It reinforces what the whole story has been whispering all along. Real family isn't about where you come from or what you look like. It's about who stands beside you when the waves get rough. As the days turn into weeks in this new chapter, you see the kingdom itself beginning to change in small but meaningful ways. Gardens that were once rigidly manicured now have wildflower patches and climbing vines that Ro personally tends. Songs from the island find their way into court musicians' repertoires, creating new melodies that feel fresh and alive. Even the way people move through the halls seems lighter, less bound by old rigid rules. The film doesn't spell this out with heavy narration or obvious speeches. It shows it quietly, through background details, through the way servants now smile genuinely at Rosella, through Luciana's growing confidence as she steps out from her mother's shadow and forges her own path. These touches make the resolution feel alive and breathing, not just a quick happy ending slapped on at the last minute. And let's talk about what this movie gets right on a deeper level. Themes that sneak up on you while you're busy enjoying the colors and songs. It's about identity, yes, but more specifically about the courage it takes to claim all parts of yourself even when the world wants you to pick one. Ro could have stayed on the island and been content. She could have tried to become the perfect polished princess and erased her past. Instead, she chose the harder, braver path, becoming whole. That message lands especially strong for anyone who has ever moved between cultures, between family expectations and personal dreams, between old versions of self and new ones still forming. The film respects its young audience enough to trust they'll feel that truth even if they can't name it yet. The voice performances deserve their own moment in the sun too. Kelly Sheridan brings such warmth, vulnerability, and strength to Rosella that you believe every note she sings and every emotion that crosses her face. The supporting cast matches her energy perfectly. Antonio's charm never feels shallow. Ariana's villainy has real bite beneath the politeness. And the animals each have distinct personalities that make them feel like fully realized characters rather than just cute sidekicks. The songs, especially that central duet and the island anthem, stay with you long after the credits roll. They're not just catchy. They carry the emotional weight of the story on their shoulders and do it gracefully. Now, as we sit with the full picture, it's clear why this film continues to hold a special place for so many who grew up with it or discovered it later with their own children. In a sea of loud, flashy entertainment that often prioritizes spectacle over heart, Barbie as the island princess chooses sincerity every single time. It believes in friendship, in courage, in the power of staying true to your roots while still reaching for new horizons. And that belief makes it timeless in its own gentle way. The waves keep rolling in the background as Rosella stands tall between sea and castle, wind playing with her hair, her whole found family gathered close. You feel it, that quiet, powerful promise that no matter how lost you become, something beautiful is waiting if you keep listening to the lullaby inside your own heart. There's something almost magical about closing the final chapter of a story that has taken you on such a vivid journey. You don't just watch Barbie as the island princess, you live inside it for a while. And even after Rosella's tale reaches its satisfying conclusion, the feelings it leaves behind keep echoing, like that distant lullaby carried across the water long after the singer has gone quiet. This final part of our narration is about sitting with what remains, about understanding why this colorful little animated film manages to feel bigger than its runtime, and why it continues to speak to hearts of all ages even years later. Think about the visual storytelling that makes everything land so powerfully. The contrast between the wild, untamed beauty of the island lush greens, flowing movement, natural light filtering through leaves, and the structured elegance of the palace with its marble halls and golden light. The way the animation team uses color to reflect Rosella's inner state. Vibrant and free when she's true to herself, slightly muted when doubt and court pressure weigh on her, and then bursting back to full life when she embraces both sides of who she is. These choices aren't accidental. They're deliberate, emotional filmmaking that guides your feelings even when you're not consciously noticing. The camera movements feel alive too, sweeping across the ocean during moments of wonder, circling intimately during quiet conversations, becoming more dynamic and urgent when danger rises. It's the kind of craft that elevates a children's movie into something that feels cinematic and respectful of its audience. The themes of found family and acceptance run like a golden thread through every scene. From the very first moments when Baby Ro is taken in by the island creatures to the final celebrations where her animal friends are honored as royal family members, the movie celebrates the idea that love and loyalty create bonds stronger than blood or background. Segi's quiet wisdom, Azul's dramatic heart, Taika's pure affection. These aren't just adorable supporting characters. They represent different kinds of love and support we all need in our lives. The film says, without ever preaching, that your real family is whoever shows up, whoever sees you, whoever helps you become more yourself. In today's world, where so many feel disconnected, that message feels especially warm and needed. Rosella's personal growth arc is one of the most satisfying parts of the entire experience. She starts as a free spirit who doesn't even know she's missing pieces of herself. Through challenges, love, danger, and discovery, she learns to integrate her past and present without losing her core. That journey mirrors so many real-life experiences. Moving to a new place, discovering family secrets, stepping into new roles while trying not to lose who you fundamentally are. The film handles her internal conflict with surprising sensitivity, giving space for doubt, fear, and moments of wanting to run back to the familiar. And when she finally chooses wholeness, it feels authentic rather than convenient. That's good character writing. That's what makes you care deeply. One of the quiet strengths that often gets overlooked is how the movie treats its female characters. Luciana isn't reduced to a jealous rival. She's a young woman with her own struggles, her own kindness, and her own growth. Even Lady Ariana, while clearly the villain, has motivations rooted in ambition and resentment that make her feel like a real person rather than a cartoon cutout. Rosella herself is never just a passive damsel waiting to be rescued or discovered. She drives the action, uses her unique gifts, makes brave choices, and ultimately saves the day alongside her friends. The film celebrates female strength and solidarity in ways that feel natural and empowering without ever becoming heavy-handed. The music deserves one more spotlight before we close. Those songs aren't background filler. They carry the emotional current of the story, lifting you during joyful moments, pulling at your heart during the tender ones, building tension when danger looms. The duet, I Need to Know remains a standout, capturing the universal longing for identity and connection in such a pure, singable way that you'll find yourself humming it days later. The island song brings pure freedom and joy. The final lullaby feels like healing made audible. Music this well integrated becomes part of the storytelling itself, and this film gets it exactly right. For parents and families, this is the kind of movie that creates beautiful shared memories. Kids get swept up in the adventure, the animals, the bright colors, and the catchy tunes. Adults find themselves unexpectedly moved by the deeper currents about belonging, courage, and staying true to yourself. It's gentle enough for little ones, but layered enough to reward multiple viewings. In a streaming era full of disposable content, a film like this stands out as something worth revisiting, worth singing along to, worth discussing afterward over hot chocolate or during a quiet car ride. Ultimately, Barbie as the island princess reminds us that life often strands us in unexpected places. Sometimes literally, like a shipwreck on a beautiful shore. Sometimes figuratively, when circumstances force us to reinvent who we are. But the message that echoes longest is one of hope. You are never truly lost if you stay connected to your heart, to your people, and to the courage that lives inside you. Rosella's story proves that the wild spirit and the royal heart can not only coexist, they can make each other stronger. So as we finally lower the curtain on this journey, picture Rosella one last time, standing strong, smiling, surrounded by love in all its forms, with the sea and the kingdom both embracing her. The lullaby fades softly into the sound of waves and distant laughter, and you're left with this warm, lingering feeling that maybe, just maybe, your own unknown shores are waiting with the same kind of magic if you're brave enough to sail toward them. That's the gift this film gives. Not just entertainment, but a little extra hope wrapped in color, song, and heart. And in the end, that might be the most precious treasure of all.